Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays when I go live at 4 p.m. Central Time. Or outside of my live stream, you can consider joining the Discord I've created. And that is a great place for you guys to reach out to me outside of the live stream. So also, if you're interested in getting some ideas of the meals that our family enjoys, we have created a Pinterest board that has a lot of my family's favorite whole food plant-based meals shared there. If anybody has any non-scale victories or on-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your guys' victories. If you've been struggling to get started, what's keeping you from getting going? And a big thing I always ask is, what are you going to do to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? So today is weigh-in Wednesday. It is day 14 of my diet reset and day 681 of my overall weight loss challenge. A little bit of a review of the challenge. I started on November 1st of 2020. I had a starting weight of 519.8 pounds. I'm going to see if this did not start working. So I'm going to try to get this working again, or get this thing to start working. But I had a starting weight of 519.8 pounds. Over the past 680, or I guess it was 674 days, I was able to get to 311.6. So bringing my total weight loss to 208.2. It has been awesome so far. I have done most of my weight loss by eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. So let's see if I can get this to start working. We'll see if it works. Now it's not even connecting to the screen, which is super. So what we'll have to do is just switch to the main. I will weigh in, I will take a photo of it, and I will share the photo with you guys. So let me get this going. So as far as with the diet reset that I'm on day 14 of, 2 weeks ago, I recommitted back to the whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. I weighed in at like 319.4 pounds. I was able to lose almost 8 pounds this last week is what it was. And I'm looking forward to seeing how I did today. I was compliant on my diet the whole week, never had any issues with temptation or anything that would have been considered off my diet. So let's go ahead, hop on the scale and see what it says. Okay. Good number here. Real quick, bunch of people checking in. Anthony saying hi. 298, maybe. No, not 298. Maybe in a couple weeks. Rick says hi. Pretty Girl's mom, hello. Linda, howdy. Rick, hello, everybody. Christy M, hello. All right, great. So you're all dying to know the results from the weigh-in today. Let me see. We're going to give it one last shot here to share on my phone, but I don't think it will. Let me do this and this and this and this. Or maybe it'll flash it up there real quick. Here we go. Wait today. See, just the suspense. Nothing. It's not working. All right. So today's weight is 307 pounds even. So that brings this week's weight loss to 4.6 pounds. So almost a 7 or 5 pound weight loss. So 307. Let me update that here. So 4.6 pounds is awesome. It's really what I was hoping, the scale, I've been keeping an eye on it. So I knew that I was down. And I'm happy that I'm going to move this mic. Hold on. All right. So yes, a bunch of congratulations here. Rick says super fantastic. Christy says nice work. Anthony says woo. Barb says yay. Shai says almost 5 pounds. Wow. Yes, that is pretty awesome to lose the over 4 pounds or 4.5 pounds in the past week. Like I said, I've been sticking to the whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. I got rid of a few things that I was eating before when I was real strict. I haven't had any of like the mustard dressings or the tahini like we had before. I haven't 100% avoided peanut butter, but it has been way less, like a lot. And I'm not using almond butter in the oatmeal when we have that. But then there's also some recipes that we've picked up that have been amazing. This past week, we had the polenta with white beans. We had the new soup yesterday. And it's been really great trying these new recipes and still finding excitement in the diet. There are some boring moments to the diet, but overall, it is satisfying to eat the volume of food that I eat, and the quality of food that I'm eating is great too. The potatoes, there's nothing special about potatoes, but they taste amazing. And it's weird that I could eat just a plain potato and not put anything on. I don't need salt or pepper or any dressing. I can just eat it like an apple, and it's satisfying. Is awesome. Pretty Girl's mom says, good job. Thank you. Let me see what I took for food photos since yesterday. You know what? It's not working, so it doesn't matter. We'll try one more time. Well, that's the wrong one, but it was working. Okay. All right, so it seems to be working now. So food since yesterday, we got to go back to today. That's this morning. This was yesterday breakfast. So what did we have for dinner last night? Oh, dinner last night was leftovers. So I did not take any photos of dinner last night. I just had leftover Spanish rice and beans. So it would look a lot like that. That was dinner last night. So leftover Spanish rice and beans for dinner. Really great. I liked it a lot. I'm not sure if Carrie did anything different. She actually wasn't as big a fan of it as her previous Spanish rice and bean, which was funny overall. But the next, that's just a pile of dirty clothes from work. That's a picture of a shop vac for work. That's breakfast yesterday. This was lunch yesterday, breakfast this morning. Eventually I'll find the right photo. So it doesn't look, it really looks like an odd color, actually. That's really odd how white it looks. I wonder if it's the lighting in the room that I took the photo of. But that's oat groats with the mushrooms, onions, spinach. We did use a little bit of a different no salt seasoning. I'm not sure what it is, but it was not the Kirkland's no salt seasoning. It was actually spicier than the normal seasoning. But I did enjoy it. So that was breakfast this morning. And then I did have a snack of just, is it going to pop up? Potatoes. So yeah, we didn't have any broccoli at the office. So we had some potatoes we cooked up in the Instapot. And I think that was 3 potatoes. I think I had 4 potatoes today. A couple of them were very small, almost like just barely bigger than like one of those red potatoes. But that was the food since yesterday. All of it's been compliant. The items not photoed would be oranges. They seem to be back in season, or the oranges that we're getting right now are really good. So we started picking up some bags of oranges again. I wish I could have some sort of alarm that goes off when the oranges at the grocery store are good again, because they kind of go in phases where they're really good for a month and then they suck for a month. And when they suck for a month, then we don't buy them. And we don't know if they're going to be good. We don't know if they're good again. But you can kind of tell by the prices, because when the pricing gets cheap, I believe that means they're more in season. And so that was what cued us into buying the bags that we have now, is that the prices were cheaper. So I guess that would be the alarm, is pay attention to the pricing. But yeah, bananas, oranges, and some apples. I am going to go over the book here, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I finished it today. I kind of binge listened to it over the last 24 hours so I could finish it up. I really do enjoy the book. I'm going to go over some things here, but the thing I was going to bring up from the book is about making things obvious. And with fruit, the bananas, the apples, and the oranges, I wouldn't eat a lot of them before I started this diet. We wouldn't bring them into the house much because they weren't part of our diet. But even when they were in the house, I still didn't tend to eat them that often. Now with our setup in our pantry, we actually have a rack hanging on the pantry door that kind of stays open all the time. That on that rack, there's a shelf that has our oranges, another shelf with the apples, and another shelf with the bananas. And one of the tricks, or one of the things that he talks about in the book, is about making things obvious. And by us putting the fruit on the door, it makes it more obvious. So when I do get hungry or I do go to snack, a lot of times I stop myself at the door, because a banana will do just fine, and an apple will do just fine, and an orange will be great. And even more so on this reset now, I am eating a lot more bananas. It's a weird kind of thing with fruit. I feel like you think of fruit as single item things, and you have an apple, or you eat a banana, or you eat an orange. With the oranges, it hasn't been much of a thing because they're so small. So I grab so I end up eating a lot of quantity of oranges. But with bananas and apples, I've always tended to just grab one. And I, been watching a lot of different people doing different diets and different programs. And something that I see a lot is people, when they're eating bananas, they are eating a large quantity of bananas. They're not just eating one banana as a snack. They're making they're making smoothies that have 4 or 5 bananas in the smoothie. So when I have been eating bananas as a snack, I've kind of been grabbing an extra banana or trying to eat a little bit more of that. But I've made it obvious, or we've made it obvious, so it helps change our habits. It makes it easier for us to stay compliant because we've done that. So the James Clear's Atomic Habits. I enjoyed the book. I just finished it. I am going to pull up my screen here. I'm kind of, if you're paying attention, I've been looking in a different direction than I normally do because I have my screen set up different. But I was going to pull this up. I hope everything is still working well. So this is actually from the James Clear's website for the Atomic Habits book. And what he's got some media, or he's got some of the different graphics from the book that he has shared. Echo. Yes, here we go. No more echo, right? I think I got no more echo. Let me get a confirmation on that. So restarting here. This is from James Clear's website, Atomic Habits, it's actually jamesclear.com, and then it's the links to his Atomic Habits. Yes, I bet it was pretty annoying listening to my echo, because I think I have this on. Anyways, I fixed it. Every habit is developed from this habit loop. You have the cue, you have the craving, you have the response, and then the reward. So in diet, you have that cue that you're hungry. So then you develop that craving. Your brain is going to go to kind of what is the easiest, highest value item around you. In the environment that we live in now, usually that's highly processed foods. Usually it is high calorie, dense foods that lead to a lot of health issues. So you have that craving. So you have the cue, you're hungry, you start craving fast food. So then your response is to go to the fast food restaurant, order the food, eat the food, and that's your reward. Is eating the food, and then you're satisfying that cue. When you do the first 3 parts of that, the cue, the craving, and the response, those 3 parts of that become automatic, or those are really the points of the decision. It's that reward at the end that is whether or not that response, it works backwards, I guess, is so when you get that reward, if the reward is highly rewarding, then the next time you have that cue, you're gonna have that craving even more, so you're likely gonna go to that response. If the reward is negative, then the next time you get that cue, when the craving happens, there's less of a chance you're gonna go for that response because the chances of the reward are lower, or the reward is not as satisfying as maybe another choice. But that is the basic habit loop that he talks about. And I really like the book because he breaks it down into essentially these 4 parts, and then he looks at how to address each of those 4 parts to develop a new habit. And then he also looks at those 4 parts on how to get rid of bad habits as well. And he has the let me see if it's on here. So this is his habits cheat sheet, and this is how to create a good habit. And the 4 parts of creating a good habit are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And those 4 parts line up really well with the cue, craving, response, reward. So when you're looking at the cue, you have to make it obvious, is what he is saying. So he talks about, he has a habit scorecard that you can find on the website here. You have to have implementation intentions where you say, I will do this at this time in this location. He talks about using habit stacking, where after a current habit you do this new habit, and then you have to design your environment to make the cues of good habits more obvious and visible. And what I liked about this part of it was he's talking about things like if you wanted to become a better reader, or you wanted to read before you went to bed, when you get up in the morning, when you leave your bedroom, put a book on your pillow so that when you come back, there's a book in the way. Or like I just talked about with the fruit in the pantry, we've designed our environment where there's more attractive choices, or the easier to retrieve, they're there right in front of us. Hey, Carrie, she's just checking in here. We're just going over the atomic habits. My weight this week was 307, so I had over a 4-pound weight loss this week, so it was pretty awesome. So when you have the cues, you need to make the habits you want to do obvious and the habits you don't want to do invisible. Then when you're looking at the craving part of it, you have to change the attractiveness, because that's what makes it craveable, is how attractive it is. And that's what businesses spend millions of dollars making these things more attractive, by putting them right in front of your face and using the right colors and the right wording to get you to buy their items. So what you have to do is you have to make your healthy habits or your better habits more attractive. You can do that by using the temptation bundling. You pair an action that you want to do with an action that you need to do. You join a culture, or where people are doing that, or if you want to be more mindful, you might go to group meditation, and that way you meet people that are living that way or that are doing those things, and it makes it more attractive because you may see them flourish at that activity, and that's what you're hoping for. Without seeing them as an example, you might not know that it's possible. And then it also says to create a motivational ritual, which is do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. So you say, I'm going to get on social media for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to go do my activity. And then you create that ritual to, uh, you get to a point where then you're using that social media, then you go walking. So to deal with the cravings, you have to make the good habits more attractive, and you have to make the bad habits less attractive. To deal with the third, or his third law, which deals with the response, is you have to make it easy. You have to reduce the friction between you doing the habit and you not doing the habit. You have to make it easy to choose to eat healthier. If that means driving with food in your car, so that when you have that cue of being hungry in your car and you have the craving to go to fast food, but you look on your passenger seat and you have food right there that is compliant and is healthy, then that's easy. It's just grab that food and eat it. The fruit on the door example, it's easy. It's right there. It doesn't take any effort for me to grab it. It's just easy to do that. I'd have to walk further to make another choice. And he also talks about a 2-minute rule where he breaks every habit down into doing it for 2 minutes. So just do the minimum amount that you can do and just make it a habit to do it for 2 minutes. So if you want to walk more, if that's your goal is to walk more, then take the time out of your day to walk for 2 minutes, because anybody can walk for 2 minutes, and then develop a habit of walking for 2 minutes at 3 p.m. every day. Then eventually you're going to be there at 3 p.m. anyways, and you're going to say, well, hey, why don't I walk for 4 minutes or 5 minutes? And you can add to the habit after it's become a habit. You can increase the frequency, or you can increase the length of time that you're doing the habit, but you actually have to make doing the task a habit. And then to automate your habits, he talks about having things where your internet shuts off at 10 p.m. so you go to bed, or you have alarms that go off, or you can't do certain things without, he talks an example where somebody wanted to work out more, so they set up their television that it wouldn't work unless they were riding their bicycle at a certain speed, to help lock in their behavior. And so that kind of deals with the response, is make it easy so that when you go to respond, it's easier to do the better choice, the better habit, than it is to do the more difficult habit. And then the fourth, when you're looking at reward, is you have to make it satisfying. You have to reward yourself for the doing of the good habits, and it has to be as rewarding as it would have been if you didn't do the good habit, or close to that rewarding, I suppose. But to make it satisfying, you give yourself an immediate reward when you complete a habit. You make doing nothing enjoyable when avoiding a bad habit. You design a way to see the benefits. Yes, so if right, because doing nothing is sometimes that's better than doing the bad habit. Use a habit tracker. Don't break the chain. I really liked talking about the don't break the chain. That was it spoke to me a little bit, because I've talked about how I felt like I had stuck to that diet for so long, and then once I broke the diet, it just made it so much easier for me to break it again 2 days later or 4 days later, and then another 2 days later have another kind of cheat meal. But when you think of it as a chain, you're trying to put links on a chain every day, and the links on this diet 2.0 are 14 long, and before it was 11 months long, so it was 330 days long of chaining good days together, and I want to have another chain that length again. And the big thing though is that you don't ever miss twice, is what he says. So you don't, if you have a bad meal and you break that chain, then you don't have a second bad meal. You get back and go right back onto your diet. So that is what he talks about a lot, is that the reward has to exist for any of this to happen, because without the reward, then it doesn't go back through the system, so when you have that cue, that craving, and then you respond without a reward, you never are going to change that craving that you have. You're not going to change the response that you take, because there's no reward in it, or another choice may be more rewarding. There was one other graph that I kind of wanted to look at that was not exactly this one here. I thought this was an interesting graph here. So this is the results over the time. And I think with weight loss that the graph can be slightly different than this, because I think that with weight loss, you kind of have an uptick at the beginning where maybe you're actually doing better than what you think would happen. But with weight loss, if you're thinking about that, it's an upward line. But if we're thinking about that in terms of weight loss, um, you have a period of time at the very beginning where you're actually above what you think should happen, maybe, or you're at your expectation. But then you start to get to a point where what actually happens varies from what you think should happen. So then that's where that valley of disappointment develops. And with a diet, I think that with many diets, it is, like I said, the first week, it's all excitement. Everything's going the way that you, Anthony says, eek graphs. Yes. And Gene, thank you. Teamwork does make the dream work. But with the diet, I feel like I had, I'm in this valley of disappointment, or I've been in the valley of disappointment over the past 11 months because what I think should happen is not actually happening. Some of that is because of my actions, but overall, it's a natural process, and seeing it drawn out here and seeing that it's not just with diet, it's in many things, because this book isn't diet related. I think that it's the positive of the graph is that if you wait it out, if you keep putting those links together, you're going to continue on that graph of what actually happens, and eventually it's going to exceed my expectations, or it's going to do better than I hope. And I really do feel like eating this way and sticking to this diet is going to produce better results than I could have ever hoped for when I started. So but that when you're in that valley of disappointment, there's going to be a lot of temptations that try to get you out of there, and there's going to be some boredom too, and he talks about that in the book, about boredom and how that people that habits plus deliberate practice equals mastery. And that deliberate practice, he references asking a athletic coach, like, what's the difference between your good players and your top players? And he said that it's the dealing with the boredom of practice, the guys that can still show up and keep, continue to practice even when it's not exciting. Those are the guys that do the best. And the diet's going to be the same. There's going to be months and months here that it's boring, and but eventually it's going to produce the results I want. And eventually I'm going to change the cue, craving, response, reward system. And I have tremendously so far. I mean, the things I crave now are light years different than the things that I used to crave. So I have changed the system so far, but the more you practice, the more you get better too. I think that was one of these graphs here too. But anyways, I just wanted to share some of those graphs with you guys. I think it does a little bit better job of laying out what I was saying instead of me kind of rambling on. But the cue, craving, response, reward is, what you can break a habit down into. And he said that success is based on the systems that you implement. It's not, you can have all kinds of motivation, but if you don't have a good system in place, it won't stick, because the bad habits will come back. And so you have to improve your systems. You have to change the environment, and you have to make it more attractive, and you have to make it easier, and you have to make it more obvious. So, overall, I do recommend the book. Fairly quick on audio book. Was not a bad listen at all. It was very oh, I didn't look at that. I'll look at that real quick just because. So he has this here. So it's make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. But then he also has the opposite of it. So how to break a bad habit. You make it invisible, you make it unattractive, you make it difficult, and you make it unsatisfying. So the make it invisible, you reduce your exposure, you hide the junk food, you put it in different closets, or you go to get your food from different places. To make it unattractive, you have to reframe your mindset. You highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. You make it more difficult. You increase the friction. You make yourself have to do one more step. If you are worried about eating a certain food, put it in the freezer. So you have to defrost it or thaw it before you can eat it. And you can use a commitment device too. He talks about having contracts or agreements with family members or friends where you say, hey, if I do this action, I'm going to put money in a jar, or I'm going to do this, and I need you to hold me accountable for it. And then the last would be to make it unsatisfying. So you don't want it to be rewarding. And to help with that, you can find an accountability partner, which I've done here with you guys. You're my accountability partners. And so failing on my diet seems very unsatisfying because I don't want to disappoint you guys or the system that I've created here. And that's also creating the habit contract. Tennis and Yoga Girl says that you love all the quotes from the Atomic Habits. It's a really good book, yes. Especially from page 7, the exact page. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you're willing to stick to them for years. Yes, that really hooked me at the very beginning as well. And that is looking at this graph right here, the 1% better every day. So if you get 1% better every day, if you change 1% of what you're doing every day, then that over time you slowly get better and better and better, and then it grows exponentially. If you get 1% worse every day, then you get worse and worse and worse, and it does slow down, but you still get worse over time. And so I thought this was great. He uses a great example of just the time, like the distance and just how much it can compound. But he has great examples in the book, lots of good stories, and overall, I really enjoy the book. So that was the last thing I wanted to show you, though, is how to break a bad habit. He talks about that. And so the book really goes through each chapter and kind of breaks down each of the 4 areas: the cue, the craving, the response, the reward, how to make it obvious, and then how to make it unattractive. How to make it obvious, and then how to make it invisible. How to make it attractive, then how to make it unattractive. How to make it easy, how to make it difficult. How to make it satisfying, how to make it unsatisfying. So it's spelled out really nice, very methodical, and I think easy to digest, I guess is what I would say about his material here. So I do highly recommend you check out James Clear's Atomic Habits. So I need a new book. I've just finished another book, and so I need a new book to listen to. I know that there are some people that he has referenced, that James Clear had referenced in his book, that talk about habits and how to improve your bad habits. I may look at one of those books, or I may look towards towards another plant-based diet book. I'm not sure, but I do really appreciate you guys recommending me read the book. And it was easy to read because it was already in the library or Audible library, because Carrie had purchased it previously and just had not listened to it yet. Now I can push her to listen to it, and we can change our bad habits together. But yes, I am looking for suggestions on another book. And I suppose it doesn't even have to be motivational or diet related, but I think that's all I have for today. It was an awesome weigh-in. I lost 4.6 pounds in the last week. The best part about this diet is that I get to eat loads of food and I can still lose 4 pounds in a week. It's going to slow down. I know that I'm dealing with a good bit of inflammation from kind of the few weeks prior to starting this diet. And I'm really just losing the same 20 pounds again that I've lost a few times in the last year. So I'm hoping that next week we can still see a good couple pound weight loss. And by the time we get into October, we can really be chipping away at that 300 or lower mark. It's just going to take the time to do it. So again, thank you guys for following along and supporting me, giving me all the recommendations, sharing the things that you do on the channel here and also on the Discord. It's a huge part of this is the accountability that I created by starting this channel. So thank you guys for that. Make sure you get subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live, and hit that thumbs up on the video as well. If you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. Put that first link in that chain and start your diet chain. But don't wait. Nobody ever gets to their goals and wishes that they would have waited. Everybody looks back and says, I wish I would have started sooner. And if I'd have known how good I was going to feel now, I would have started months ago or months earlier or years earlier. And I'm the same way. And I'm not even to my goals yet. So get started now, and find ways to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative. Make it easy. Put healthy food in front of junk food. Put your workout shoes in your car. So you think about it when you're going home from work. Hey, there's my workout shoes. I could just throw them on and do a quick 5-minute walk. That's all you got, just little things to improve the habits that you want to improve. So make it easier, guys. You guys all have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.